Good morning, Tom. How are you?
Doing just fantastic. Thank you for joining us today. It's an interesting time. You being a part of our foundation and our board at the hospital. I'm pretty certain that you're aware of all the different exciting things that are going on and upcoming. And let me tell you, I really just truly want to say I appreciate the work that you and the board are doing in order for us to be able to have the success that we are continuously being able to achieve.
Absolutely. You know, it's interesting. There are a lot of people in this valley that appreciate a lot of the things that Providence Holy Cross does and maybe have had experience with the hospital, have some connection, whether it's themselves or their family, and are thankful for that. I'm one of those people, and so that's why I'm getting involved. And I know there's a lot of people out there that want to do the same thing. And it's, you know, no matter what you're doing, there's this kind of, oh, I'm thankful for the services, the support of whatever institution or organizations out there. And then there's the extra element, Tom, and I know you think this way as well, of, okay, now that, you know, maybe I've benefited from that, all right, it's time to give back and trying to get involved in helping. And so that's kind of the angle for what we're doing.
Right. And, you put it beautifully. And from our guests last month, Dr. Igbalier had basically intimated something very similarly. He said, he said, we do an awful lot of work, and with the successes that we continue to have, and in order to be able to continue to achieve those successes, the hospital has to be able to grow to meet the community need. And he said, what a better way to do it is to come by, follow some of the staff, see what we do, and see how you might be able to actually step in and help, whether it be through volunteering, whether it be with employment, or maybe with donations into a program that you want to be able to support.
Yeah, there are so many ways. It's kind of one of those, what's your skill set, or what is your, the way you feel and how you can add value. So everybody's a little different, right? You know, they're in different walks of life and different stages and that kind of thing. I know I was talking to my daughter, same kind of thing, and she's obviously much younger, of course, and just kind of getting out there into the world and just graduated college, that kind of thing. And so her stage of life in terms of what she can do is different than what I can and others. And so that conversation with her was very different. It was, hey, what kind of volunteer opportunities might there be out there, right? And of course, somebody that age, I mean, they're working crazy, all these crazy hours and the whole thing. And she says, well, I can't, sort of normal like a retiree can, Dad. What can I do? Well, there's volunteer opportunities on the weekends and the evenings. And what a great feeling to be part of that. And then when you do benefit from it, you feel like just kind of part of that community. So that's what we're looking for. And it's at any level, Tom. So it can be, somebody who is in the position where they can financially help. And then there's others who can maybe just volunteer, or maybe just, hey, let's get out there and support. We have resources here in our valley that are, extend all kinds of areas. And Providence Holy Cross is one of those resources that we want to be able to support. And being a nonprofit organization and, being in a structure it needs the community to support it. And as you know, and I'm sure you could kind of give some highlight to, healthcare is expensive. I mean, the equipment, the things that are going on, and we've toured the oncology department. What a great group of people, but there are needs there, and can really help our community, as you know.
Yes, no, it's 100% true, and the expense is tremendous. I can remember hearing about what the costs were going to be in order to be able to add a new MRI, if that were something that was going to be in the picture for us. And, you're looking at $1 million, and that's looking at a used older model, and that's with the state that technology is now, in order to be able to have an MRI that's of the strength that is necessary for some of the finer work that our physicians and staff are doing. It takes millions, and and then you have to put it into into a space, and that space has to be built to specific specs. And those don't come cheaply because, you know, when you're looking at trying to have a facility that is going to support the life of people, that facility has to be able to stand, you know, all tests in order to be offer the safety and the comfort to the patients as what we would anticipate and expect.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're the beneficiaries of this. I know when one of my daughters was born, and she had difficulty at birth, and this was, I don't know, 20 years ago or something. And, you know, she ended up at neonatal intensive care, and that was down at UCLA. And so, you know, you get the whole ambulance trip, and you can imagine, as everyone can, who's, you know, gone through, having children. I mean, what a tremendously stressful period of time to go through difficult or challenges when you have your child, and then at that very time to have issues and then having to be transported someplace. And that far, you know, I mean, great organization, great institution, and everything went great, and happily to say that she is wonderful and just, you know, doing her thing. But what a great thing to be able to maybe just go right down here to Mission Hills at Holy Cross. And we're actually right now even in a campaign to enhance and upgrade the NICU unit there at Holy Cross. And so that's some of the support that we're looking for, but some of the benefit for people right here, you know, just a few minutes down the road, to have that world-class care available that, you know, right here in our backyard. It's not something we're used to. You know, for those of us who've lived out here a long time, we know that it's not always been there, but it is now. And when it's something that, if you are inclined to at any level help and support, that's what we're looking for. So they can get a hold of anybody and say, hey, I want to be a part of the Santa Clarita group that is supporting the mission of Providence Holy Cross for those of us and here in the Valley and everywhere that the hospital supports.
Right. You know, and you really keyed on to something very, very important, and this is one of the things that I so appreciate our executive groups and our board for being able to have the forethought to recognize that and the compassion enough to be able to make the decisions that the people who live in Santa Clarita, people who are living in the Valley, they need to be close to their families. And I know that you and I had spoken about this, that a lot of times illness is actually more difficult on the family than it is actually on the patient because of the stress that being able to still maintain the house, still be able to maintain employment, to be able to get to and from. And this is one of the ideas behind going into relationship with City of Hope, was to be able to offer the world-class care in our own backyard, which is going to improve the quality of experience that the patient is going to have, but also the experience and the quality of life that is going to be experienced by the family, who doesn't have to hop on the 405 and sit in 2 hours of traffic just so that they can get to their loved one. You know, it's the executive forethought that allows that to actually occur. So I truly appreciate and will always appreciate the executive group who are continuously making these unbelievable decisions that allow us to be able to have you know, this compassionate, top-notch care made available to us and to our families, you know, minutes away. Except for on days when there's a fire on the 405.
Right. Well, it's even close then if you had to keep going, right? Keep going down into L.A. or whatever, it'd even be farther. Yeah, and I think one of the things that people don't necessarily recognize is that this isn't you know, you're talking about executive level. I mean, this is just anybody. You know, anybody that's out in this community. It says, you know, I'm thankful that there is this resource here, world-class healthcare in a hospital setting, you know, right here in our backyard, to be able to access, like you said, very closely, so that I don't end up having to go 2 hours in these situations where I, you know, have a family member, whomever, or myself, is in a long-term, you know, issue. And so this is, I'm thankful for this, but it's amazing, Tom. In this community, I've lived up here since '91, and so many people in our community here in Santa Clarita take that one more step. It's, oh yeah, I'm thankful, everything's great, but I take it one more step and I get involved. We just finished the walk to end Alzheimer's a couple weeks ago, and there's hundreds, almost 1,000 people out there doing that very same thing, saying, okay, yes, I very much appreciate, I've benefited from, and this is great stuff. I really can use the access to this world-class healthcare. On the other hand, I also, no, not on the other hand, but in addition, I want to get involved. And so in terms of Providence Holy Cross, there is a way to do that. And it can be at any level, and just the level of, hey, I'm just here. I'm in, what can I do? I can volunteer. I can do, the small little things all the way up to the large ones. And man, it feels good. And by the way, you don't realize maybe that your neighbors are doing that too. And they're the very same people that you're really, you like and are the same kind of people out here in Santa Clarita. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, it really is. I have lived out here for the better part of my adult life and have absolutely recognized that, as I'm crossing the street, that this community supports themselves. And in a similar fashion, how Holy Cross will continue to support the Santa Clarita Valley as well as the San Fernando Valley, this community really rallies, and they rally for the best reason. And that ability, that strength, that that part of it is that theme that allows us to be awesome town, has been something that Holy Cross has really embraced as we continue to move Holy Cross services even out into the Santa Clarita Valley to make getting care even more convenient.
Yeah, absolutely. We look at these things, and like you said, living out here in the whole thing. So if somebody's sitting out there looking at or thinking about, okay, how can I help? How can I do these kinds of things? Well, it's not that hard, and it's not that difficult to get involved. And there are a lot of ways and a lot of different organizations out here that you can get involved in. But if you are somebody that's sitting there and saying, look, I appreciate this access, I appreciate the availability of this kind of healthcare, that I've got a hospital here that I can count on for just about anything that absolutely could happen to me or anybody in my family, then it's that next step. We've got a place for you to get involved, and it could be at any level, it can be at any way. Just pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm in Santa Clarita, I'd like to get involved. I'd like to get involved with this group. And then you throw out whatever it is and say, and we will find a way. You can contact at the hospital, you can contact us directly, whatever it is, and we'll include you into that community. It's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of satisfaction in being involved in something like that.
It really is, and it's nice to be able, anytime you get that feeling after you've finished or accomplished something.
Mm-hmm.
You finish a project at home, you have that sense of pride that you can imagine that if you had a big part or a small part in being able to allow a family to get the greatest care available at their doorstep, that is... It's the reason why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly enough, you had a meeting, an open meeting on Monday. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's the kind of, a lot of people when they're thinking about something like this, you're sitting at home like, yeah, I'd love to get involved. Well, what do I do? There's not you can't Google get involved and, comes up with all these great options, right? So there's got to be some kind of format or some kind of structure that says, this is what we're focusing on, and this is what we're doing in this, very loose group. And that's what this is. Since we have a group here in Santa Clarita that is supporting the mission of Providence Holy Cross, effectively. Okay, and we're looking at both financial and other means of support for the hospital so that we can get involved in continuing this resource that we are enjoying. And so we met on Monday. We're going to be meeting again on the 13th, if I've got my dates right. And we're basically going through just, okay, what are some of those things? And we had sort of briefly mentioned them that we want to support. There are various different campaigns, initiatives, there's equipment, there's departments that can be improved and enhanced. And I mean, there's constant change in the healthcare world. And when we want to continue to get involved in helping this resource maintain that level of care, we need to help fund it. And so we want to start to focus and target on something that we can kind of sink our teeth into, and then get together in a group and figure out how we're going to do it. And I'll tell you what, Tom, we kick it around. We have some fun trying to figure that out. It's a great community.
Well, it is, and I think the biggest piece to this too is that the reality is anytime there is going to be this type of a meeting where we're all getting together, guess what? It's going to be at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Because this is what we do in Santa Clarita is we eat, and we go out to eat, as it's apparent every time you go out and you have to wait for it. But it's a really, really strong group. And, just to take a little step back, one of the reasons why, Santa Clarita, we thought, this is such an important thing to try to create this niche group with such an unbelievable community is that 30% of our employees live out in Santa Clarita. 30% of our patients that we actually care for live in Santa Clarita. That Holy Cross is no longer really that hospital on the other side of the hill. We are a provider of health for the Santa Clarita Valley, as would be evident with the building on the corner of McBean and Valencia, where Facey is, where there's a surgery center that we're a part of, which, in case anyone didn't know, we're actually doing same-day total joint replacements at. Wow. And that type of procedure required a specific table for our total hip surgeon. And because of the help and the support of the community and the foundation, we were able to get that table, which is allowing for those specific individuals who have the ability to go in, have surgery, and go home. We can now deliver that, which we were never able to do just down the street. Yeah, I mean, it can't be any more convenient. So that's one of the reasons why Santa Clarita is now a big part of the Holy Cross family. Not only is that our family works there and lives there, our patients come from there. We're out here between that with Facey. Recently, we have a very strong new relationship with Exer, which is extremely exciting. So if you're on I think it's Stevenson Ranch Road and the old road there, right in the Stevenson Ranch area, Exer, which is an urgent care staffed by board-certified emergency room physicians. So you're going to be getting the absolute best level care from a certified emergency room physician at your local urgent care. And that, I believe, they're seeing patients, I think, actually starting today.
Today, in fact. It's where it is and for those of you guys who know out there, it's right next door to what the old Sports Chalet building was. Right there near Wood Ranch and over there on the old road there in Stevenson Ranch. And I went over there yesterday, and they had their opening celebration there at Exer, and Exer is in a partnership with Providence. And, I mean, what an exceptional group. First of all, the place is, I mean, really neat to even walk into. It's a lot bigger than I thought. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. The level of care there is going to be exceptional. And like you said, it's incredible how, and the statistics on the number of people that end up in an ER versus what should and actually be in more of an urgent care environment, and how the difference on there can be extraordinary in terms of financial and really affecting the ER environment by having people there with coughs and colds that should be in an urgent care environment. The problem is it's hard, you don't really think of urgent care in that way, and now you can. An extraordinary location, extraordinary organization, and great people. I was over there, and we had, I just met the staff, they have multiple locations, but then also the staff that's there at this Valencia location. great folks, very professional, and know what they're doing, and very comfortable understanding and knowing where this is an environment that will, that I can feel comfortable going to. And so yet another example of kind of woven into the fabric of Santa Clarita these resources that we did not have before. So great, exciting stuff.
Anything that we can do to take the stress off of the ER. There is a level of convenience that you can go in. It's open 24 hours. The hard part of it is emergency room visits are usually a higher copayment. It is a long wait because in a lot of cases it's based off of the seriousness nature of what's going on. The higher level care is going to be delivered first. And that an urgent care will allow you the opportunity to be able to get in and to get out in a more timely fashion. But I think that there's a level of trust that patients have knowing that it's an emergency room physician who are trained to basically treat everything and anything. And that now all of a sudden we have that emergency room physician without the emergency room environment where you're not going to be getting bumped by the ambulance that comes in or the trauma that comes through. You are going to be able to get in and get out with world-class care. Which seems to be a common thread in what our conversation is this world-class care. So we're extremely excited with this, and more so and as Justin will concur, the athletics out here is absolutely tremendous. Out in Santa Clarita, it's top-notch. In fact, one of our own will most likely see some pitching time for the Cubs today as they go to battle with the Dodgers in Game 4. Mike Montgomery, Old Heart graduate.
Last night he was in there too. So
did he get in yesterday?
Yep.
Yeah, he did. I just must have missed it. So with the athletics and all that are going on, the ability to be able to get in and get out with a diagnosis so that way you can get on with your care and your plan of care without the waits and without the inconvenience of it's this, be put into a splint, and then follow up with your doctor sometime next week. In a lot of cases, that's not necessary. And when you have a group of physicians that can actually deliver a solid diagnosis, deliver a great plan of care, it allows for those athletes to be able to get back to the field quicker and safer. Without having as much of the weight, which, we take our athletics pretty seriously out here, and it's just a way that we're going to be able to meet that need.
Right.
And a great example, we were talking with the doctors Igbalye, because we had all three of the brothers here, which was just an amazing talk last month, and we brought up concussions. We at Holy Cross came up and we assisted with the hockey team out here in doing their concussion baseline testing, and we're glad to be able to do it, and as in the forefront of getting stronger within the sports medicine arena within the Valley and into Santa Clarita, all of a sudden here we are doing concussion testing for a top-notch hockey squad, and because of that, guess what? Someone who was listening liked the idea, loved the idea, to a point where they actually contacted the foundation. Specifically, how can we become more involved? How can we help with this? So can't be any more excited. So I'm getting the old break move right there. So you're here. It's Rick Ferrantes with us here on the Providence Holy Cross Health Hour on KHTS, your hometown station. We'll be right back.
Santa Clarita Philharmonic has begun its season of free concerts. The SCP is a non-profit community-based volunteer symphony orchestra comprised of local musicians from throughout the Santa Clarita Valley who are dedicated to providing quality classical music for the residents of the Santa Clarita Valley. Like the Santa Clarita Philharmonic on Facebook or visit santaclaritaphilharmonic.org for more information.
Satisfy your sweet tooth with a bite of sweet perfection from Nothing Bundt Cakes in Valencia. Their decadent cakes are ideal for your next birthday, anniversary, baby shower, wedding, holiday party, and more. Nothing Bundt Cakes makes their treats readily available without compromising quality. You can expect real butter and cream cheese, fresh eggs, and lots of love in each of their 10 luscious flavors. To order your own sweet treat, visit their Valencia Bakery in the Whole Foods Shopping Center or log on to nothingbundcakes.com.
City of Hope is a leader in cancer research and treatment, and there's a City of Hope location right here in Santa Clarita, eliminating a major barrier in the fight against cancer: distance to quality care. Santa Clarita has the advantages of City of Hope's renowned clinical expertise, compassionate care, and access to clinical trials. Find out more at cityofhope.org/Santa Clarita or call 661-799-1999.
Hey there, it's Tori with your hometown station weather. Sunny and hot today. Highs in the low to mid 90s. Overnight lows in the upper 50s. Tomorrow, sunny and highs in the mid 80s. Friday, even cooler. The Domestic Violence Center's Purple Walk of Strength 2017 is this Saturday, October 21st, from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. at College of the Canyons on Rockwell Canyon Road. For more information, go to hometownstation.com.
KHTS. Doctor, give me the news. I've got a bad case of loving you. No pill's gonna cure my ill. I got a bad case of loving you.
And we are back. You're here with us on the Euro Hometown Station, KHTS, for the Providence Holy Cross Health Hour. I'm Tom Burton. I am actually in studio now, off of the phone. We've made it through. Our other guests are here. No worse for the wear after that extremely slow but steady drive coming up from the valley.
You're so nice. Oh, my God.
And, you know what, Rick Ferrante, was wonderful to be able to be in studio and kind of and really kind of get things let off as part, not only just a board member of ours, but he's also a very strong community person here in Santa Clarita with home care services. And I would love to know a little bit more, because I was with you on your show last week, but I didn't really get a chance to hear all the things that you do, what you offer, and how is Santa Clarita going to best benefit, because I know how Holy Cross does, but...
Yeah, obviously it's different. I mean, I'm certainly a member of the board, and that's my passion, or kind of the mission is definitely assisting in that mission. But I'm also the owner of Home Care Services here in Santa Clarita, and we're over there on Cinema Drive. Basically, what we do is we do in-home care. So we provide caregivers for mostly seniors, about 90% of the time it's seniors, but anybody who needs some assistance in their home. And so it's just activities of daily living is what we're assisting with. So it's bathing and dressing and transportation, managing of medications and things like that. So that's basically what we do. And so as a result, we're very immersed in a lot of elements. While we don't have doctors on staff or nurses, we're so immersed in all these elements of care for, in particular, seniors, but anyone. And so what we see when we're doing this on a day-to-day basis is people that need these resources in our community. So that's when you start to say, well, I need to get involved in other things so that we can try to continue to help bring this in. So that's what leads me back to supporting Providence and Holy Cross, and also our other guests here and what they do, because palliative care is something that we hear about, talk about, and would love to be able to help our clients with regularly.
Yeah, it's the home care services, which and you and I shared this last week, was how important it is for families, for peace of mind more than anything, because all of a sudden we have a loved one who is well enough that they, thank goodness, well enough that they can leave the hospital, but maybe not well enough that they can carry on with their normal daily lives, maybe because of illness or injury or however. And the decision that we have to make as family members is like, how can we best allow our family member to be able to get back into an environment that they desire to be in, and yet for our peace of mind, can they be safe? And so really, though it is a service, you're actually delivering peace of mind.
And independence along with that safety. So if somebody is in a position where they need to be in a skilled nursing facility or something that's where it's very much not appropriate to be at home, but there's many people that don't want to be in that environment or any kind of institutional or assisted living facility environment and want to be at home. And the results and the outcomes tend to be much more positive in that environment as well. I certainly, for myself, when I'm in that position, want to be in that kind of environment and be independent in my home. But we need assistance. And families are not equipped often to be able to be skilled or even just want to fill that role of being a professional caregiver. They want to be sons, daughters, spouses, and that's the role that they need to be.
Well, and I'll tell you, that kind of leads in nicely, because I wanted, for those watching on Facebook Live, you can actually see we have Dr. Marwa Kalani and Leah Phillips, who are our palliative care team at Holy Cross, and I appreciate you guys making that very short, long commute to come out here. But the
We wouldn't miss it.
oh my goodness! But the family, you bring up the family, and I know you and I have spoken in the past, even on this show, on how much care the family actually needs, and maybe you can kind of go into maybe just remind everyone the concept of palliative care, because I know it has a negative connotation and it should not.
Right. Well, palliative care is about the delivery of specialized care for patients who have serious illnesses. So that is not necessarily end-of-life care. Right. So there are a lot of patients out there that are dealing with pretty serious illnesses and chronic illnesses that need extra support, extra focus on pain and symptom management, and need some guiding hands. And that's why the palliative care focus is team delivered, because there's a lot of specialists that are involved in caring for the individual and collaborating with the entire medical team. So it's really nice when we get a home care presence, because that really kind of rounds out the team process, and it takes the burden off of the families.
Right. And then Leah, now, I mean, I've known you guys personally,
right?
Professionally as well. And how did you get involved, Leah, in palliative care and the such?
Yeah, I actually have a hospice background, probably about maybe 18 years ago or so, and then I went into the hospital in a more emergency room setting.
Right.
So I did ER nursing for some time, and this actually kind of came to me one night in triage as I was looking at my options within Providence, because it's the only hospital I will work in, and I've been there for 20 plus years.
Wow.
And this opportunity came to be, and I was like, well, there's only one way for it to go, and I applied. Dr. Kalani was the physician champion at the time, and it made an easy transition for me to go into palliative care.
Right.
I, too, having that hospice background, wasn't quite sure what palliative care was. I really didn't. I knew hospice care pretty well, but I'm like, how does it really work in a hospital setting, and what is palliative care look like in a hospital acute care setting?
Right. Well, and experientially, I've enjoyed, unfortunately, the needs for palliative care, because when you have so many specialists and so many physicians taking a look at a loved one, it really has been very, very nice for us as a family and as a son to be able to get the big picture delivered in a very, very caring way. And that's what I really saw, was that we really needed a captain to the team and somebody who had a way to be able to explain it. And that's what I appreciated the most for what you guys did. You synopsized things beautifully, explained everything wonderfully, and that made all of the. I know it helped me as a son. It helped my brothers and our rest of our family, because we were assured that we had the best information at the right time, and also the options, which was also one of the other pieces that we really did need to be able to make best decisions, including at one time being able to go home.
Right.
Only if there was help.
Right.
And
that's a big component, because one of the things that we always worry about is, listen, we're a hospital-based program. And in some ways, success for us is seeing that our patients are back out into the community and are doing well.
Right.
That's success. We don't want to see our patients have to come back to the hospital. And ideally, the home is really where the best care is available if they have the hands to do it. And we often see that patients bounce back to the home setting, back to the hospital setting, because they're not getting enough support at home.
Right.
And that's where home care services, palliative care services can help augment that care, because family members need to be family members, as you mentioned, and it's a lot of work. It's hard work, and we've all participated in it and at some point or another, but this is not infant care. This is adult care, and it's very challenging.
Let me ask a quick question, and interesting, because as we were talking about, literally immersed in this all the time, and we get questions, and we all know kind of, like you said, basically palliative and hospice and so on, but I get questions from many people who just have no idea. So very simply, so if I walk in and I have a loved one that's been admitted to the hospital and has whatever those challenges are, and like you said, some serious, either chronic or very life-threatening kinds of diseases or issues, do I just go up to somebody and say, hey, I want palliative care? Do I go and say, a lot of people are told things like they've been placed on hospice, and am I placed on palliative care? That kind of question. So maybe you can kind of help just in a practical sense.
Yeah.
I'm standing there, now what? This sounds interesting. I want this. What do I do?
So one of the things that I would do as a family member is be that advocate for the patient and let the nurse or the attending know that you would like to get a palliative care evaluation. It's a consult service, so we're not here to take over the care. We're here to collaborate, and we're specialists, just like a cardiologist and their team are specialists, or an orthopedic physician and his rehab team are specialists. We're all driven by a consultation from the attending physician. So it has to be a medical order, essentially. So
but I can be asked for.
Absolutely.
As opposed to just passively waiting and saying, oh gosh, I wonder.
No.
I even had somebody who was literally a couple days ago say, I remember hearing something about palliative. And I was waiting until whoever it was, husband, wife, or actually it was a parent, was discharged before that could happen. I mean, there's a lot of misinformation too. So maybe we can talk about this in terms of inpatient, outpatient, in terms of palliative.
So inpatient palliative is what we do, dedicated to the interdisciplinary approach of caring for the patient when they're in the hospital. Oftentimes we like to collaborate once the patient leaves the hospital and goes back to the home with a palliative care service as well, so that they can go to the home setting and do some home visits. And it's not just a nurse visit, it's not home health. These are actual specialists, physicians, nurse practitioners, nurses, social workers, and chaplains, who all can make either visits together as a team or individually and take care of the patient within the home setting. Now, it's not a 24-hour service. These are scheduled appointment visits, and that's what our expectation is from palliative. Now, if you look at the hospice side of that similar process, that's completely different. But on a palliative side, it's really to help augment already the care that's being taken and put into place.
And Rick, you mentioned something. What we're experiencing now up on the floors, because I lead the care rounds for the med surg floor, where we will have patients who are going through maybe significant orthopedic trauma, and they're on month 2 after surgery, after surgery, after surgery, to a point where it's part of it is our getting educated as a professional to say, let's bring palliative care in.
Yes.
and actually make that part of the conversation, which we are getting better at. I think we are getting better at it, and I think that we're doing a better job as far as being appropriate in bringing palliative care in. And in the ones where we are, it has nothing to do with end of life. It's
Not
more
at
so
all.
as just to be able to have that person who's going to synopsize and be a part of the care, to be almost a conduit amongst all of the other specialists who are involved. And it's really made a big difference to a point where patients are able to make more informed decisions. I'm thinking the one on 2B.
Yes.
And including maybe just having someone there to say, yeah, this is going to be a long road, but this is the way that path is going to go. So you can look at your SIG alert and realize that there's a couple of red diamonds getting from A to B. However, you can see that path, it might slow, it might speed up, but there's a path. It's a distinct path. And that's the thing that I think I've greatly appreciated. And am glad that you guys are around, because we can actually, we need help.
Yeah, I've literally had, and interesting, you should talk about this on this path. And I mean, there's goals, and it's not a terminal kind of thought process. Easily, maybe I was probably about a week and a half ago. Different client now, right? And they talked about palliative care, and this was the statement. And maybe you can answer what you would say to this person. I mean, I'll tell you what we did, what we said, but I want to hear your reaction. We would do palliative care, but we're not ready to give up.
Oh, yeah.
That's a direct quote. Okay, so again, misinformation, right? There's this kind of, oh, we're not ready to throw in the towel and give up on mom and dad, so then we're not going to do palliative care. What would you say to somebody that says that?
That is quite unfortunate. Because there's so much more that palliative care can provide and actually help that patient and family thrive and do better, especially when you're focusing on their quality of life and trying to accomplish those elements that they're missing out on. And it's quite unfortunate. As we sit there and micromanage all the medical issues, the medications, the wound care, the treatments, the appointments and whatnot, the patient gets lost amongst all that. And that's where palliative care then focuses on the patient and the family experience. So it's a different approach. All that's going to happen anyway. The medications, the treatments, the wound care, the appointments. But the patient's also going to get even better care, if anything, so that they are able to really experience life to its fullest and to the best of quality that they can get at the time that they're in that process.
So actually including the patient, what a novel thought, right?
Gee.
You know, it's something, and we've had Dr. Klein in, our CEO, on a number of occasions as well, and you know, he uses a term, and I'm going to use it here, that I really see what you guys do is, and including for yourself and with your group, is that you're easing their way.
Yes.
You know, and way doesn't mean end of life. Way just means to the next destination. That destination might be, you know, moving into outpatient, some important outpatient type of work, to a point where they are on their way to a healthier life. And I think that's the biggest piece to be able to take away from this, is that the connotation of palliative care, on how that gets confused with end-of-life care. I think, you know, being able to do things like this and be able to go out and educate will make a very big difference. And I'll tell you, not only to educate the general community, but also to educate our physicians.
Yeah, our own medical specialists. So you're absolutely right, Tom. And I love what we do. I think that we've done a remarkable job really collaborating with everyone in the hospital, and I really have to thank Leah and Victoria, our other palliative care nurse, who are just amazing at what they do. So we're really happy to be there and be able to provide this service.
We're great to have you here. And you know, I know we've got a small break coming up here. I just wanted to let everyone know you're here with the Providence Holy Cross Health Hour. We've got a room full. Rick Ferrante, Home Care Services, Leah Phillips, Dr. Mara Kalani from Palliative Care at Holy Cross. I'm Tom Burton, the Orthopedic Program Manager over at Holy Cross. Justin's here, and he's the one who keeps this thing going. And we will be back in just a very short moment. Your hometown station, KHTS.
Unleash the terror! Six Flags Fright Fest. Horror at every turn with thrills by day, fright by night, and the scariest coasters in the dark. Face your fears in 13 haunted mazes and scare zones, including Suicide Squad, the Six Flags Fright Fest experience, and new this year, spine-chilling encounters in the city of Metropolis. Buy a 2018 season pass and get free admission to Fright Fest, presented by Snickers.
October 31st, the Church on the Way Santa Clarita is hosting an all-new block party. Come hang out with them anytime between 5 and 8 p.m. for yummy food trucks, giant inflatable games, a hay maze and rock wall, a toddler play area, and loads of candy. This is a free, family-friendly event, so don't leave anyone at home. For more information about the Church on the Way Santa Clarita, including service times and what's happening over the next few months, visit tcotwsc.org.
If you're in danger of losing your home to foreclosure, you need an expert. Hi, I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I've helped hundreds of Santa Clarita residents save their homes completely for free. I've got just over 20 years experience and a loan modification success rate of over 80%. I can negotiate better terms with your bank and I can save your home from foreclosure. And again, we do this completely for free. So if you're in any danger, please call me today at 661-714-1400. That number again is 661-714-1400. I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty, and I'll be happy to help you save your home for free.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
KHTS. Doctor, give me the news. I've got a bad case of loving you. No pill's gonna cure my head. I got a bad case of loving you.
All right, and we're back with the Providence Holy Cross Health Hour. We've got a room full of people I want to thank for being here and braving the traffic to be able to get here on top of it. Rick Ferrante, Leah Phillips, Dr. Kalani, myself. Here we are in beautiful Newhall, gorgeous weather, enjoying a beautiful day. And, we're kind of keying into somewhat of a mildly difficult conversation, I guess, but it's a conversation nonetheless. And last week we were on with Rick on his show where we were really kind of talking about how do we have this conversation? How do we start the conversation? Personally speaking, how do we get our loved ones to say what their wishes are, and how do they express that so that the entire family knows, and how do we get the family involved in their care, and how do we keep them involved in their care? And we've got probably the best people to be able to answer that, and I think Leah kind of perked up just a skosh there when this came up, so kind of dig in.
Well, we actually deal with that a lot. When we're consulted, we actually talk to our patients and kind of meet them where they're at and find out, how involved they want their family to be. We may have some patients that don't want any information shared with their family members. Right. So, we kind of honor our patients and find out, what their concerns are. And, once they give permission to allow us to meet with their families, I think it's very welcomed. I think that, within our healthcare system, there's so many consultants and there's so much information being shared that it gets very confusing. It gets confusing for the patients, for the families, and, they're hearing little snippets. The pulmonologist is, talking about their lungs, and the kidney specialist about their kidneys. And so what we do is we kind of pull it together and put them in a whole person care. And we really meet our patients where they're at. And it may change from day to day. And, families' concerns may be very different from the patient concerns. So we just really assess and pull together what's important and what they're, worries about, what we can clarify. and what needs we can meet.
So really bringing apart a great clinical picture, and I think more so in what I appreciate, and we find this, it was so funny because years and years ago we had to have management of aggressive behavior. We had to go to a course, and all the managers had to go to it. I was an instructor with it for Holy Cross, and they said, by all means, very first and foremost, the biggest reason why there's ever an argument or whether there's an issue is unmet expectations. Yeah. And those unmet expectations may be because those expectations are unrealistic. And so maybe you want to talk about, how do you go about addressing realistic expectations, which is really difficult in the medical field because people can turn to the positive or to the negative like that.
Easily. I think it's important to be able to step back and realistically give patients and their families exactly the information they need real time and anticipate what pathways could potentially occur. Everyone's always waiting for that miracle. And the way that we address miracles, because listen, miracles happen every day. I'm not one of those science people that says, oh, miracles never happen. No, miracles do happen. But let's define what a miracle would be for you. Would defining a miracle be that your loved one was able to recognize you? Hey, that's beautiful. If it happens, I am completely sold. If a miracle is the patient's going to get up out of the ICU and walk out of the hospital, that's not going to happen. So we really try to assess what our patients' and families' expectations are in advance, tell them what's realistic, what's not realistic, and what we can maybe shoot for, what we can hope for, and kind of redefine things on a different level.
And you find, though, that once you actually have that conversation, the family has a tendency to be a little bit more on board.
Yes,
and all
absolutely.
of a sudden, the communication is that much more open because now everyone kind of has a general idea as opposed to not having, the thoughts are so sporadic and all over the place that they can't focus it in to see what the actual path is going to be.
Yeah. So.
Tell you what, when you talk about this, and what you're talking about is looking at this at that, the broad spectrum of this, and then talking about family and integration communication. A lot of this also, and part of the problem, and Tom, you and I talked about this before, and I'm sure Dr. Kalani and Leah, you see this all the time, is when these expectations and these, the notions of what's going on, if all that has to be thought through at the time when somebody's sitting there, right there at the hospital dealing with all this, that's a problem. It's got to be before that. And so understanding and talking this through is critical, at least at a certain level. And then when you come in, you can put that plan of action into place. So involving all these things way earlier, and we see it all the time, even just with care. I have no idea what this is, and I don't know, but if it's talked about before, an entirely different conversation.
And it's a hard conversation to really have, too. We're going to be taking a small little break. You're with us here in the Providence Holy Cross Health Hour. We'll be right back.
Doctor, give me the news. I've got a bad case of loving you. No pill's gonna cure my ill. I got a bad case of loving you.
White House fights back. Give yourself up. I'm Michael Toscano.
I think that General Kelly is disgusted by the way that this has been politicized.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders invoking the name of White House Chief of Staff John Kelly, who lost a son in battle, defending President Trump from charges that he disrespected fallen soldier Sergeant LaDavid Johnson, telling his widow the soldier knew what he signed up for. The Johnson family has issued a statement saying they felt a lack of respect. Police along the Northeast Corridor are looking for 37-year-old Radi Labib Prince of Elkton, Maryland. The Harford County, Maryland Sheriff says he shot 5 people at his workplace, killing 3 of them. Police in Wilmington, Delaware say Prince is suspected of later shooting somebody at a used car lot about an hour away in Wilmington, Delaware. Harford County Sheriff Jeffrey Goller wants him to give himself up.
To stop and just turn himself in to the authorities. We can end this peacefully and preserve his life and any more lives that might be in jeopardy.
NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell says the league believes that everyone should stand for the national anthem, but after a team owners meeting, Goodell says the league will not force players to do so. Steve Kastenbaum is there for us.
The commissioner said the NFL's message to players hasn't changed.
We believe everyone should stand for the national anthem.
Roger Goodell said the players realize that team owners aren't turning a deaf ear.
The owners in the NFL really do care about their issues and what we can do to make the communities better.
He said they'll continue to have dialogue about these complex issues.
Tens of thousands of Californians have been allowed back into their homes, dropping the number of people evacuated by wildfires now to 22,000. Nearly 100,000 people had fled their homes as deadly blazes whipped through the Northern California wine country. Over 40 killed, 60 still missing. On Wall Street, the Dow rises 159 points to close above 23,000. IBM posting its best day since 2009. That's on Wall Street, closing moments ago. I'm Michael Toscano.
Today, there are over 47 million Ford vehicles on the road, rolling on over 188 million tires. That's a lot of rubber to trust to anyone other than a hardworking specialist at Ford Service. No one knows your Ford better than Ford and Ford Service.
Get a $140 rebate by mail on 4 select tires when you use the Ford Service credit card at the Big Tire event. Subject to credit approval, rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 12/31/17.
Staples has solutions to keep your tech and data safe and protected, so you can run your business with confidence. The confidence to shred hundreds of sensitive documents into millions of tiny pieces. The confidence that your network backup is backed up. The confidence of being protected from viruses, worms, and Trojan horses. Secure your data and protect your business with help from Staples. And now at Staples, get up to 2 pounds of shredding free, powered by Iron Mountain. Staples, it's pro time. Visit a store or go to staples.com/security. Ends 10/28, in-store only. See associate for details.
Pumpkins are back in Santa Clarita, just a short ride up Bouquet Canyon. Introducing the Gilchrist Farm Harvest Festival and Pumpkin Patch, with pumpkins, pumpkins, and more pumpkins. Open from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. daily in October, the festival is full of pony rides, farm animals, live entertainment, farm crafts, and pig races. Book your professional photo session in the Pumpkin Patch. Learn how to milk a goat, gather eggs, and best of all, pick your perfect Halloween pumpkin. Nostalgia's return to Santa Clarita. It's now at Gilchrist Farm. GilchristFarm.com.
Hometown, your hometown station.
Doctor, give me the news. I've got a bad case of loving you. No pill's gonna cure my ear. I got a bad case of loving you.
Welcome back, Santa Clarita, and thank you for joining us today here on your hometown station, KHTS. You're at the Providence Holy Cross Health Hour, and we've got a room full. Rick, Leah, Dr. Kalani, great group. We are talking about having the conversation next with our families. I know we have a few minutes to be able to do that, but I think as we go into that, though, Rick, how do they reach you? How do they reach your company?
Sure, absolutely. So homecaresantaclarita.com is the website, and 888. I lost it. Actually, you can tell us on the regular line, 412-0710. That's 661. And let us know. And we talked about it earlier in the show. And if you want to get involved, this is a lot of great resources, including the palliative care we've talked about and everything else at Holy Cross. Let us know. And I would really love to have that conversation on how you could get involved at any level to help with that mission of Providence Holy Cross.
Right. And then how do they reach palliative care?
They always call Leah.
24 hours a day.
Yes.
8 days a week.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
818-496-1837.
Nice. Or have their
physician contact us
and put the order in.
Right. If they're on the inpatient side. Absolutely.
And then also as a resource, can they use you as a resource even if they're not at the hospital?
That happens quite frequently.
Okay.
Very much I get the phone call.
All right.
I have a family member. Sometimes we actually get the calls that, the operators are not sure on how to direct the families that are calling to,
Right.
and they're actually asking for more of a pain management, which, we deal with pain management, but that is not our...
That's not the forte.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So everyone who's listening, yes, you can reach palliative care.
Absolutely.
It is a recommendation to know that that exists, and that it is something that will help ease your way through the encounter that you're dealing with, whether it be pre-admission, during admission, or even post-admission, which is very fair to say. Home care services is going to be, and let me tell you, it is, talk about something that allows the patient to restore their quality of life, allows the family to restore their quality of life. And I'll tell you, having a family member who fought it tooth and nail, by God, that was one of the best friendships they've ever had, and for a long time. And so it's, you know, it's kind of like having your own Friday, so to speak. And that couldn't have been any better to allow for somebody to be able to heal at home, which it's 100% true. You can sleep at home. It's your cooties at home, if you will. It's your food at home. All of these different types of things, and to be able to get back to doing things that you enjoy, that may only be available to you at home as opposed to be maybe in a facility. So, you know, which is great. And so I guess probably for the last minute or two, because I know we're going to be breaking pretty soon, just briefly is, in 25 words or less, each of you, how do you initiate the conversation with a family member to find out what their wishes are? Hopefully before they ever need to end up in the hospital.
We so often find that what you really kind of relay to somebody is that this isn't necessarily about you. When you have an issue, people are going to take care of you. We are, the hospital is, everybody else. What this is all about is your family. It's everyone else. And so many people are actually selfless. They're not selfish. So if they're not thinking that this is about me, and they're thinking that this is about my son, this is about my daughter, then you actually have an easier conversation. So let's have this conversation not about you, Dad, not about you, Mom, but about me and my family and everybody else to help me when this time comes. That's usually what we found, at least helpful.
Nice, nice. Dr. Kalani or Leah?
I love what you just said. That's pretty much exactly the way we come across. We actually meet our patients and our families where they're at, and they actually, I enter as soon as they open the door. So if they bring up worries or concerns or about sharing with their family, I'm able to help and guide them.
Right.
I think the only thing that I would add to what they both remarked on is just be a good listener and pick up on the cues that the patient is giving you so that you can really have a better idea of what's important to them.
Right, and you know what, it's funny because I giggled a little bit when you said it's not about you, it's about me, you know, which is, it's very interesting, but that actually is 100% true in that that if you know what somebody's wishes are, it's a lot easier for that family member to help make those decisions as opposed to guessing. Yeah. And then second guessing and triple guessing and wondering if they did the right thing versus the wrong thing versus doing what their family member wanted, which is a peace of mind piece, which is extremely helpful. So I just appreciate everybody making their way out here in this absolutely terrible traffic, which of course will be open when we drive back down, right? And I want to thank Santa Clarita for joining us today. I thank KHTS for allowing us again this opportunity and to kind of work with this weird schedule we had because of the drive. You're joining us here on your hometown station, KHTS. I'm Tom Burton with the Providence Holy Cross Health Hour. See you next month where we're talking about diabetes.